Yeah.
Welcome to Fully Considered the Oppressed. Tonight's showing is a recreation of the 1996 drama A Time to Kill. Our player with Carly Haley, a black man talking to Jake Tyler Briggins, a white man in jail. Carly Haley is accused of killing two men who raped his daughters, awaiting them for the closing statements of the trial.
We're gonna lose this case, Carly. There are no more points of law to argue here. I want to cope a plea. Maybe Buckleton will cope to second-degree murder, and we can just get you life in prison.
Jake, I can't do no life in prison. You gotta get me off. Now, if it was you on trial.
It's not me. We're not the same, Carly. The jury has to identify with the defendant. They see you. They see yard work. They see me as an attorney. I live in town. You live in the hill.
Well, you are white and I'm black. CJ, you think just like them. That's why I picked you. You are one of them. Don't you see? Or you think you ain't because you eating claws and you're out there trying to get me off on TV talking about black and white. But the fact is, you're just like all the rest of them. When you look at me, you don't see a man. You see a black man.
Carly, I'm your friend.
You ain't no friends. Jake, we on a different side of the line. I ain't never seen you in my part of town. I bet you don't even know where I live. My daughters, Jake, they ain't never gonna play together.
What are you talking about?
America's a war. You're on the other side. How's a black man ever gonna get a fair trial with the enemy on the bench in the jury box? My life in white hands? You, Jake, that's how. You're my secret girlfriend because you are one of the bad guys. You don't mean to be, but you are. It's how you was raised. Nigga, Negro, black, African American. No matter how you see me as different. You see me just like that jury sees me. You are them. Now throw out your points of law, Jake. If you're on that jury, what would it take to convince you to set me free? That's how you save my ass. That's how you save this boat. In this scene, we hear the closing statements of the defenses. We hear the defense closing statements.
Now I'm going to tell y'all a little story. Close your eyes. This story is about a little girl walking home from the grocery store one sunny afternoon. Suddenly a truck races up. Two men jump out and they grab her. And they tie her up and they rip her clothes from her body, raping her, shattering everything innocent, pure. The vicious thrust. Big fog of drunken breath and sweat. They start throwing full beer cans at her, so hard they tear the flesh straight from her bones. They pick her up, throw her in the back of the truck, and drive out to Foggy Creek Bridge. And they pitch her over the edge. Can you see her? Her raped, beaten, broken, soaked in their urine, soaked in their semen, soaked in her blood, left to die. Can you see her? I want you to picture that little girl. Now imagine she's white. The defense rests your honor.
After deliberations are over, he's innocent! He's innocent! Our community is what Augusta Boyle called a court system of tragedy representing our activity in the world. The tragedy system is characterized by elite manipulation of speech oratory to force and coerce the oppressed into a passive state. The bit is glorified system where the audience and the court system is dominated by the virtual tragic heroes that ignore the people that are truly oppressed. This is the way the affirmative is Jake Tyler Briggins and their attempt to understand that and help the lives of the oppressed and their efforts to solve their sex and affirmatively oppose the coercive system of tragedy by speaking for the oppressed and utilizing the course in front of their agenda. We believe that debate should be about the liberation of the oppressed that are oppressed currently in our debate can be privileged with certain knowledge and very specific, limited set of perspectives. The people who need debate the most or marginalized and discriminate the most in our everyday life are further systematically excluded from participating in debate. David Wright explains law speeches. For Aristotle, happiness is living in accordance with law. This is justification for ensuring the maintenance of social order. Theater becomes a form of repression used along with politics and the bureaucracy habits and customs to enforce state order. The principal functions are fundamental to the Aristotelian theme of tragedy because the principal aim of tragedy is to provoke catharsis. Catharsis is the essence. The purpose of the tragic system is the means to correction and purify that is desired and required for the maintenance of social order. Self-corrective tool revolving around the shame and self-hatred. It's not the tragic characters that pity and fear manifest, but in the spectators. With the emotion and pity of the fear of the spectators are linked to identify with the conflicts of the heroes. It's happening because they see themselves undeserved. If they see something undeserved happen to the characters, resembling themselves. Theater becomes a perfect means of social coercion. This system cannot be used in revolutionary conflict. The cathartic function is designed to provide models where people should aspire and moral problems where they should turn for advice and leadership. Characters endowed with virtue and confidence and practice to overcome these people. Masculine people remain in the background. They see fooled and passively accept events, including changes in their master. They're manipulated by the will of the virtuous men that people understood and portrayed as a malleable and shapeless mass. All this was a conflict with the control of the theater between the ruling class and the master. The ruling class dominance theater to change the very nature of the theater. If the theater is going to be used for liberation of the oppressed, it is necessary to create an appropriate form of theater. The aristocracy established the division between actors and spectators, and then created further divisions between protagonists and chorus. The protagonists were set to represent the aristocracy and the chorus represent the mass. To accomplish transformation effectively, Law argues the first barrier to social precipitation that must be eliminated is everything active and spectator. All people must act. All must be protagonists in the necessary transformation of society. The idealization of this world results in a dangerous trying to understand the oppressor, just like John Digger, dangerously coerced Jake and solve this problem to course Jake falls towards a possible dream. This blind guidance ended in Jake ultimately being killed. This is the of the course system of tragedy. Wall advocates and up into these forms of theater, new forms arise. One detriment by a new class, which will not only sense stylistic but much more radical come out from the patterns, models, thought process of the past. This new theater will necessarily also be a theater of abstractions, which is initialized characters will reduce their conditions as mere objects of the determined social functions, which by coming into concentration develop a system of forces that direct movement of dramatic action. And the harm of the course system of tragedy have risen to the state's aristocratic tendencies of the commodification or the impact of oppression and erasure of the masses. This is Wall 79. After an imperialistic democracy whose numerous wars about benefits only for the dominating sectors of society for whose only purpose is that right between aristocracy and money and aristocracy and blood. The state mostly defied finance for production of tragedies would not permit the performance of plays whose constantly run counter to state policy to the interests of the governing classes. The aim of the feudal always mobilized society by perpetuating the existing sense of its principal characteristics was depersonalization, the engine was in abstracts, the function of art was authoritarian, coercive, and calculating. The artistic means represented a concession by the clergy to the ignorant masses incapable of reading and following abstract reasoning who can only read through in the senses. And I want you to cross-apply our argument on theater as onto the framework. Now, next case. Further, the discourse of equality attributes assumes all people are the same. This is the logic of the plan. People who fall out of society should be treated the same, and those who are different are treated differently. Know that the other wants to integrate people of color into what their cases. Scratch that. But all women and tell about either they're entirely powerless victims or they're not truly victims, therefore not meriting legal redress. This is part 03. Questions of what eminent violence is or what a battered woman or rape woman's experiences are raises crucial questions concerning how theory and practice are intrinsically connected and work on the abuse of women, rape women, and battered women. Characterizations were arise from the fact that current popular and legal interpretation of agency and the victims that lead battered women a double bind. The burden of rationality of proving that the battered relationship was sufficiently coercive for life-threatening space on the shoulders by asking why they never attempted to leave in if they felt as if the archetypal profile of the true victim are not being repentant or traumatizing them or by being angry or dead is not truly victims and therefore is not meriting legal redress. And next, arguments should not be reduced to a language. It's not about the term victim, but it's about the simplicity of the interpretation of victim that fails to get at the complexities of agency. Gender abuse exists in a shifting matrix of power and not knowledge of the term. It's also part of the framework. It is not that terms like agent and victim are used to term where they use a simple binary dichotomies fails to get at the complex gradations of power and disempowerment women differentially occupied. By criticizing the simplistic definition strategy of agent versus victim, I would prefer the more complex and nuanced way of enabling women to tell their stories and perhaps the further way in which legal and popular narrative may talk about agency and power as a monolithic substance which either one has or one doesn't have, but as a shifting matrix of relations through which we become what we are, under which we always have the degree of control, power, partial. And if women are truly valued, they must be removed from market as value or things. This is Anderson 1990. Commodities are those things which are probably treated in accordance with the norms of the modern market. We can question the application of market norms to production, distribution, and enjoyment of the good. Like I think ethical ideas which support arguments that the good should be valued some other way than used. If the things to be valued appropriately, its production, exchange, and enjoyment must be removed from the market norms and embedded in a different set of social norms. And the gender animus requirement of vow results in regulating separate worse than others. The vow results in public race with legitimacy without paraphrase. This is Bone of my The implementation of civil rights normally is further complicated by the necessity under the provisions to show gender animus. The court forces the plaintiff to prove that the vows represent the underlying hostility towards the subordination of women. This approach claims by state vow plaintiffs creates hierarchies of rape with some acts that rape maintain is worse than others and thus deserving of redress. Another race emerging is lacking sufficient probative indice of gender bias. Paradigmic stranger rape, vow claims might well seasoned, but in cases involving interspousal same sex or publication rates could well for the potential for civil rights litigation to have an opposite effect than intended by the draftees of the vow. The court might well give more legitimacy to rape in public settings and fail to recognize the harms of rape in private context. That vow will be interpreted in a non-uniform fashion, and this will reflect the bias and social views of individual courts.
That's on theater. Go back to theater.
And going back to theater. Art is always already present in transformations of the world. We are basically this ball 79. Art is affirmed to be pure contemplation and is considered present always a vision of the world transformation, and therefore is inevitably political insofar as it shows the means of carrying out the transformation dramatic, not only all pleasure, but should be a teacher of morality and a political advisor. The reason that theater is going to actually turn their framework and the fact that their entire framework is based upon this idea that we can call law, this is a good thing. However, our theater argument is based upon the crux that calling on law is this historic vision, as well as unifying under one banner, as well as the impacts that we claim at the end of this argument, as well as the case terms we put at the end of that.
You say that we should have this radical theater, right?
It's not radical. It's a theater of the oppressed. We don't have
theater.
It's not particularly radical.
Okay. What is the theater of the oppressed?
All right. A theater of the oppressed is when everyone who would usually be considered a spectator in a typical theater, the audience, the chorus, etc., they would be involved. They would be what Wall calls a spect actor, in which they can contribute their own experiences. They have shaped their lives through oppression to this theater in which that goes on. This theater would then construct, scenarios of oppression, and they would come up with a solution which best fits that particular community.
Okay. How does that affect things like gender violence that's going on in the status quo?
We believe that the best way to actually try to solve for gender violence is opposed to having this broad stroke, which is what we believe the affirmative is that we have a communal approach in which women specify what is important to them and have ways that we can actually address their individual problems as opposed to applying something to everyone.
Okay.
That doesn't
So
necessarily
we have
apply to
specific
them.
small communities in which people come together and they talk about their oppression, right?
Be around.
All right. So this debate round is a community in which people come together and talk about their oppression.
What
And
we will argue what should have been.
are these theaters connected in any way? Like, would someone from one of these one of these theaters of repression be able to talk to someone, like, would they come together and meet with people of other theaters of repression?
Well, yeah, sure, you can have interaction just because you're like one part of, like,
Okay.
say for instance, I'm a male, I can talk amongst, like, people who I may associate with, and as far as that community goes. But being like half Japanese,
Can you ever
I
talk about the
can also
oppression of
associate.
someone else who is oppressed in a way that's different from the way that you have been oppressed?
I mean, I don't think you can talk about that, but I don't think you should claim the ability to solve for that person.
We should all be able to contribute our own experiences and how various ideologies have shaped our lives. For instance, maybe how racism has affected my life or Lewis's life or sexism, et cetera, et cetera. We should all be able to contribute our experiences within that form of theater in order to create this solution which best fits our own experiences rather than a broad, sweeping legislation which assumes all forms of oppression are the same.
Okay.
All right, cool. Let's talk about your gender animus arguments. There's gender animus at the state level. R1AC makes a claim that the state level is uniquely worse because those prejudice and bad passions that your Ball Miller card talks about is even worse in a world in which the judges are elected by the public. Why is it worse to have a federal civil remedy than to let the state continue this bias interaction?
Okay, number one, we'll make the argument that our alternative is going to solve, and number two, we'll make the argument that your question is really slanted. I'm trying to answer in a way that's not, but we'll make the argument that you would make it worse. You slant the question where it seems like you can't possibly do that, but what's that?